Hi you guys, welcome to the weekly love energy update. Thanks so much for being here, and happy Valentine's Day for all of those of you who are celebrating today, or happy Singles Awareness Day for those of you who are totally single. Let's go ahead and just dive right into these cards, shall we? So we have piles 1, 2, and 3. Pile 1 will be for the people who are in relationships. Pile 2 for people who are totally single and just kind of vibing with what they've got going on. And then pile 3 is going to be for those people who have situationships, connections, are in a state of no contact, that kind of thing. So timestamps will be down below, as well as the names of the decks that I use in order of appearance. All right, see you in a sec. All right, so just as a quick reminder, you guys, pile 1 is for those of you who are in relationships. This is for those of you who are single and just, enjoying what's going on. And potentially this reading could indicate if someone were on their way. And for those of you who are in complicated situations, no contact, having some issues with someone, this could be the pile for you as well. Now, I wanted to preface this, and I'll repeat this again before each pile. I do use the Tarot of Sexual Magic, which is a little bit more graphic in nature. So if you have a hard time or don't really like the sexual component of things, this probably is not the best reading for you. So just putting that out there. I also did not feel inspired to do crystals today. I just was not feeling the vibe with that. So we just are going to keep it just with the cards. All right, see you in a sec. Okay, pile number 1, this is for those of you who are in relationships. Now, just to note, I do use the Tarot of Sexual Magic in this reading, which is a sexually graphic kind of tarot, so if you don't really like that kind of stuff, this might not be the best reading for you. Just putting that out there. Okay, so we start off with the High Priestess. We have the Ace of Coins, we have the Fool, we have the Four of Swords, and we have the Seven of Swords. This is a really quiet energy. You guys may be feeling the kind of shift that's going on with Saturn. And I don't really know why Saturn is really coming out at me super prominently, but it is. Saturn's going to be moving into Aquarius later on in March, but I'm sensing there's a little bit of emotional detachment. Maybe you guys, it is Valentine's Day after all, maybe you guys are kind of going through the motions of all the things, but I think you each have some really deep stirrings going on. I think you have, this whole maybe there are things that are not being said. She has the coin being held over her mouth. This is always a very quiet energy. The eyes are being closed, people being all in their head here. The blindfold with the kind of the serpent going up here. And I'm just wondering if there are things that aren't being said this week. Feeling the effects of the Mercury retrograde as well. A lot of focus on kind of the Pisces and the Aquarius stuff. And you may prefer to just kind of be in your own little world right now. You may prefer to be independent and to be on your own. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that so long as there isn't tension in the connection. The Seven of Swords can be kind of an interesting card to get, because sometimes we can actively be working against ourselves when this card appears. And sometimes not saying things is worse than saying things. And I'm wondering if that's kind of the holdup is, it's kind of a pick your poison kind of situation. Do I really say what I'm feeling? And if I say what I'm feeling really, truly, and authentically, will I get stung? Will there be backlash? Will it not really work out? Will this person not understand? And so there does seem to be a lot of consideration. Do I say it? Do I expose? Do I become vulnerable? Do I really put it out there? And then maybe many of you are trying to just kind of get over it and just not worry about it so much and not make it a problem. But I just don't know if trying to not make it a problem or just trying to get over it is really gonna be in your best interest. Because it seems like there might be a need for healing. And I believe an opportunity is going to present itself this week for expression. Not all of you are going to take it, and that's fine. But at what point do you decide to just really be who you are and to stop being afraid? And it's hard when you're in relationships, especially when you're in like a really loving, compatible, like this works kind of relationship, because of course you fell in love with the person that you're in love with because you could be yourself. And now what happens when there's a part of yourself that you don't want this person to see? And that can be hard. So it's almost like a revisit to the beginning of your relationship, the beginning of your marriage, when everything was on the table and everything was acceptable and there wasn't a fear of being judged by this person. And maybe that's kind of a place you're hoping to really get back to, but also at the same time knowing that we can't go back in time really, and maybe things have shifted substantially. 2019 really changed us. And it is time for us to really get to know not only our new selves, but, the new partner as well. Because sometimes it's like, wow, we're two totally different people now. And maybe Valentine's Day can really be that opportunity to kick off that let's learn about each other again phase. Okay? So I pulled out a couple of energy cards. So we have community and we have the 6th chakra, which is of course the 3rd eye chakra there. Community is an interesting energy. I like the component of really working together and being together, and it's such an Aquarius thing as well. And there might be a shift in your relationships where there is a weakening of the emotional component and a strengthening of the let's build something component. Let's stop feeling so much. Let's stop being so cooped up, and let's go out into the community and actually be productive and accomplish something together. For some people, that's raising a family. For some people, that's building a home. For other people, that's working together and building a business together. But I think that's a good shift. Making it, making it a lot more about, even my throat, right? That's always kind of a sign, is when you cough or something, there could be something with the throat chakra, and that was kind of the essence of the first 5 cards. But taking it out of just yourself and making it about something bigger. And this could be the time when you decide, okay, it's time to make it bigger. What are we really doing here? What's the point of this relationship? Where is this really going and evolving? And is this just, because I don't think people here are really wanting to fester in anything. We've kind of gone through a big purge lately, and I know that you're getting some pretty massive downloads. You're getting some pretty massive downloads. You as an individual are making some pretty massive shifts, and therefore the relationship is or must, in order for it to really continue in a healthy, happy manner. So treat each other like new again. Treat each other with respect again. Treat each other with curiosity. Who is this new person? What does this new relationship look like? What does this future really contain? What does it hold? And I think you're going to start finding a purpose together if you can go about doing it like that. Dance with life. Do something to change your energy. Yeah, because the first 5 cards, there was a lot of like quiet festering in your head, in your emotions, mouth closed kind of stuff. So what is it that needs to happen to shift the whole trajectory here? What needs to happen? Ask yourself, ask your partner, and say, let's do it different this time. What can we do? And this is saying like dance with life. So there's kind of a physical component here. Maybe it's not actually dancing with your partner. Maybe it's, getting out in the yard work and doing something together. Maybe it's, going to a place outside with other people, that's not something maybe you normally do, that kind of challenges you and puts you out of your comfort zone a little bit, but creates a little bit of novelty. Do something to change your energy. All right, now these are the sexual magic decks, or cards rather. So we have the Two of Swords and we have the Knight of Coins. Now, I'm kind of looking at this card, and here's kind of like the knight giving a gift to the woman. And even here, kind of with the rose or a flower, tulip, kind of servicing, so to speak, the woman. And I would say that the person within your relationship that has the more masculine energy, male or female, the person who has the more masculine energy really needs to step it up and actually be in that masculine role. And when it comes to courtship, it's important. And I think that's going to be something that's a highlight for you guys this week. And what can the person with the more masculine do to sort of draw out, because I'm getting a very coy energy from this woman in this Two of Swords card, kind of looking away, like available but not, kind of playing the game a little bit, a lot more passive aggressive here. So what can the person with the more masculine energy do to really make that more feminine individual feel more comfortable? And what can that person do to make the more feminine energy's life more easy? Now, of course, this is not a commentary on man versus woman, so please don't think that. It's just that the masculine energy from the masculine individual needs to be more directed toward the person with the feminine energy, because I think the feminine energy with the presence of the High Priestess is going to have a hard time kind of coming out of her hole a little bit. And I say her because it's the feminine, but it could be either way. And so this is about creating a culture within the relationship of safety. Again, if there's something that can be, oh, I just happened to see, and then the mouse, well, there you go. There's that coy, quiet, shy, mousy kind of energy. And maybe one of you, maybe both of you, there's just a lot of shyness going on. And a lot of, like, I don't know what to say, I don't know how to say it, I don't know. Just a lot of emotional stuff. So if you're the more conscious, more aware one in the relationship, maybe you need to take on the more masculine role here and to be of service to the other person and create that culture of comfort, you know, and to make sure the other person knows that they are safe to really like be who they are, and to be safe to express themselves, to be safe to, even if that's sexually, right? That kind of thing. Make sure the other person feels safe. There's no judgment. It's not going to cause a problem. It's just more about honesty. Okay? All right. Relationship people, happy Valentine's Day. Wish you guys nothing but the best. Have an excellent week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, pile number 2. Here we go. This is for people who are single. And I did want to make sure that I preface this by saying I do use the Tarot of Sexual Magic deck. So if you're not interested in seeing some pretty graphic cards, this might not be the reading for you. Just saying. Okay, so here we have the 7 of Cups. We have the Knight of Swords. Queen of Swords. 4 of Coins. And the 5 of Wands. Interesting. I don't know, you may have some people kind of looking at you anyway. Maybe an air sign you have around you, specifically Gemini, but could also be Libra, Aquarius as well. There's a lot of emphasis on the Aquarian energy right now because we just are finishing up Aquarius season, and then we have Saturn moving into Aquarius. We've got the Mercury retrograde going back and forth between Pisces and Aquarius. So there's just a lot of emphasis on that Aquarian air-like energy. Plus all the Mercury retrogrades this month will be in air signs. And we have a Venus retrograde in Gemini. So there's just like, it's all very intellectual. And I think that there's an interesting kind of weakening of the emotional state, which can be relieving, I think, for a lot of people. Like, oh, thank God I can just be, you know, not so much feeling, but more you know, practical, more in the mind, and it's a lot less stir crazy, you know? And there can be a lot more accomplished because I'm not feeling so weighed down, and I just feel a lot more liberated and a lot more free. And now you may really have a lot of options in front of you, or maybe you're trying to figure out how you can get a lot of options, especially romantically. Maybe some of you aren't really super into the whole dating app thing because maybe you've done that before and it turned out to be like a whole like little box of nightmares. And now you're like, okay, well, I'm not really interested in going down that route. And now let me see what I can do with my social life to get some options opening up for me in a real way so that I can connect with someone in a cool, like we share a lot of things, we have the same kind of mind, we think similarly, we have a lot in common, you know, in that kind of way that has a nice foundation and a way that's fun and interesting and you can stimulate one another intellectually, but that there's also the emotional component as well. Maybe some of you are feeling like, okay, I kind of am feeling the itch to get out. I'm feeling the itch to socialize and, you know, maybe travel a little bit and kind of open myself up a lot. If you are trying to do the online dating thing, you know, just take it slow. I wouldn't be going out on like a date every single night right now. But I see discernment, which is really cool, which there's a lot of self-honor with the Queen of Swords energy. She just kind of has this whole like, you gotta deserve to be in my space. Like you really gotta have a cool vibe, you really gotta be a good person, you really can't be aggressive or narcissistic or, you know, she's so sensitive to those kinds of things. She picks up on them so quickly. And I think your list of no's is going to start growing really fast, which ultimately gets you to the yeses a lot faster when it comes to dating. Getting you to the place of just weeding out a lot of people very quickly, which is good. And I think you're kind of stuck on that. And many of you may actually just prefer to be single right now, just simply because like you've got a cool life. You have cool things going on. You have cool hobbies. You're doing well in your career. Your money is going great. And maybe many of you are growing past that whole, I need someone to completely because now I figured out that I can just kind of complete myself and I really don't need someone. If someone comes in, great. But if not, also great because I'm cool, like things are going really well. And if they're not going well for you and you're feeling a little frustrated by this message, there might be an air of a little bit of desperation or getting lost a little bit too much in like hope, which hope is kind of a difficult thing. I always call it my fuel. It either fuels fear or it fuels faith. And when you use hope to fuel fear, like I really hope I can find someone, I really hope there's that right woman or that right man out there for me, that's kind of like amplifying a fear that you're not going to be happy unless you have someone. But if you use hope to fuel your optimism of like, I'm so excited to meet that kick-ass person, but there's not a lot of like dampness to that kind of statement, that's more going toward fueling your faith. And that's a better way to do it right now. I think there can be a lot of desperation out in the market right now. It can be a little messy with the Five of Wands. And the reason for that is because a lot of people just aren't really embracing the changes. And so they're kind of setting a new precedent for like being on the same track. And then they're going to feel like nothing's changed and their whole life is the same and everything sucks and like it's just like super negative and heavy. And what happened in January was a real kind of, and I remember talking about this in 2018 too, we were going through a very substantial separation between the masses, right? We have the people who were taking the path of growth and development and following their passion and making things happen and, you know, learning from their mistakes, to the people who just started feeling really sorry for themselves because of the mistakes. And it was this clear like line that was being drawn But unfortunately, we still mingle with those people, like, you know, in coffee shops and things like that. So it does get messy. It does get complicated, Five of Wands. But that's why the Queen of Swords energy is so important, because I think you can very easily sniff out the people who have taken the same track that you have taken. And it's going to be a lot easier from this point forward. So there's a lot of reason right now to be optimistic. We have a contract here, an action here, which I like the action energy with the Knight of Swords, because it's like, if you're not happy being single and you really are craving that connection and that relationship with someone, great. That's awesome. But you got to go out and do something about it. You got to put one foot in front of the other and put yourself out there. And you have to not be afraid to, you know, use your sword a little bit and cut people off and not waste your time. Now, a contract is real positive in a relationship reading because it can indicate a relationship coming out for some of you. So with this social activity, with these kinds of, you know, creating of collisions by, you know, going out shopping in public places or going to restaurants and sitting on the patio or just kind of window shopping or whatever it is you do, you know, that's an opportunity for people to come up and talk to you, for people to connect with you. And the more collisions you create, the more likely you are to find that person. So now is a good time for you to focus on being out there. And you tell the universe you're available, but then to actually be available. And a lot of your action is going to match the universe and really send out that frequency, making it a lot more likely to really meet someone. The ever unfolding rose cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. Yeah, and a lot of people feel so down on themselves when they're single, but it's like, why? Like, being single is awesome. You get to spend your time the way you want to spend it. You get to learn about yourself. You get to explore new things. And, you know, you yourself are the ever unfolding rose. And that's how many of us feel about life, that life will never, ever stop blossoming, unless we decide to wrap our hand around it and rip the blossom off, you know, and a lot of people choose that, and that's fine. But if you embrace the blossoming, honestly, life can start going in so many beautiful directions. And it's meant to be enjoyed, like really, truly. Okay, now we have the Queen of Swords under here. Now we get the King of Swords, which is interesting. And then we get the King of Wands. Wow, a lot of king energy. Kings, of course, are hyper masculine. I feel like there is a cheating component going on with this King of Swords. So just make sure that when you're single and going out there, you know, maybe just put a little extra emphasis on, like, who is this person really? Like, are they married and lying about it? You know, that kind of thing. Do they have a girlfriend? Like, are they a really good person? Make sure you take your time before you, you know, really dive in, especially sexually. That's the good thing about Saturn and Aquarius, is it does help us to detach. So we may feel the passion and we may feel the excitement, but now, like, those kinds of feelings, they're kind of signs to pay attention to. Like, do I feel so excited when this person calls me and contacts me and walks into a room? And is that really a good sign? I mean, it could be, but given past experiences, maybe it hasn't really worked out so great for you in the past, and you're just looking for someone that just has the ability to make you feel really safe, but doesn't stir you up in like this hyper chemicalized way. And a King of Swords might stir you up in that kind of way, and you just have to be careful of, like, people being truthful, where what you really probably are looking for is more of a King of Wands, someone with whom you can kind of always call your home space. So this is kind of the weeding things out, weeding out the people who are not so great for a Queen of Swords, you know, people who are just kind of looking to get some, looking to have fun, and will kind of pretty much tell you anything, versus the person who just, like, loves being with you. Like, no matter what you do, they love your vibe, they love your energy so much. And then we have the Elephant, which is, wow, one of the most wise animals walking the earth today. Been around for how how many years, you know, seen so many changes with the earth, has incredible memories and instincts. And you have to remember, you do have these instincts. You do have this wisdom. You know, you don't want to be someone's like third party mistress person and not know about it. You know what I mean? So just make sure you use your little spidey senses to really feel it out. Take your time, ask the right questions. You know, you have to really filter people, and you have to be able to cut them off quickly. I was watching a documentary about elephants and, you know, how they take the husks and the ivory and all of that. And elephants have learned now that when they see a human being, they try to hide their tusks because they know that that's all they want, right? So it's kind of like, that's your value. I'm not telling you to hide your value from the right person, but you do have to make sure you don't just give your value away to someone that really truly does not deserve it, because the goal is the contract, the goal is the commitment and the relationship, right? Even if you're not trying to fall in love, this is a love reading after all, so of course we're going to bring that in, but no matter what it is, make sure that your commitment is with someone who's just going to wrap their arms around you and make you feel like you're perfect just the way you are, okay? All right, great. We're going to leave you with that, singles. Thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day. Take care. Okay, pile number 3. So this is for those of you who are in complicated situations, periods of no contact, something like that. Let's go ahead and dive right in. But first, I do use the Tarot of Sexual Magic deck. So for those of you who might not like sexually graphic images, this might not be the best reading for you. Just letting you know ahead of time. Okay, so we have the Knight of Coins, 3 of Coins, Ace of Swords, the Sun, and the Knight of Wands. Almost immediately drawn to this Knight of Wands. Actually, both Knights coming out, really bookending the spread. I think there's a real desire for some kind of finality with something, like to really put an issue to bed once and for all. The Ace of Swords is always indicative of a truth, of some kind of an awakening conversation or an awakening experience, and really establishing that sense of clarity and not having any confusion around something anymore. It's possible, all right, that some of you will have that opportunity to really hash it out and to figure it out. 3 of Coins. This is always a card of good communication, and especially when it's coupled with the Sword and the Sun card, it tells me that there is some kind of a like freedom from the issue that could potentially happen. Now, that might not have the perfect outcome. It might not be let's get married and have babies and do the whole thing, but at least you'll know. Now, this might not happen this week, okay? Mercury is about to go retrograde in the next couple of days, but then he'll be retrograding. He'll be going back into Aquarius in March, and then he'll, you know, come back through. And so any time over the course of the next month, this might happen. But it's not a good time to get really worked up in emotion and to act out in an emotional capacity, meaning like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy's not calling me back, da 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 da, I feel so insecure, I feel so this, I feel so that, and feel so gross, and then lash out and say something mean like via text message. This is not a good time for that. If you do that, this person will not respond. And that's your answer anyway. And maybe there's even a component of silence too, you know, there's a component of, if I get no answer, then that's my answer. But for those of you who are really trying to work something out with someone, you got to really not be afraid to bring the stuff to the table. And if this person is a little too weak or insecure or not sure enough, that also is your answer. If they're not sure they want a relationship with you, if they don't want to give up being single, then honestly, that's your liberation. And I love a Knight of Wands. Like, look at how beautiful she is, right? She's got this vibrant red hair. She's fire. This is a very Sagittarian-like energy, which is extraordinarily free-spirited. Whereas, you know, right now you might be more in that Knight of Pentacles kind of vibe, which is really held back, you know, a little gun-shy. There's a slow and steady quality here. But it's almost kind of like swapping out the servitude with spunk. And you have to step into your spunk, into your fire, into your passion. And this could be about anything in life. So there's a lot going on that indicates that no matter what the outcome, when you're on the other side of this, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. Because this is such an attractive energy. I mean, she just is very magnetic. She's really passionate. She pulls people in. She enjoys connecting with people. And, you know, there could very easily be a new romance in store for a Knight of Wands just kind of right around the corner. That's probably better as she's backed up by the sun. So this moment, this Ace of Swords moment, whether it's a period of silence, which is just as much of an answer as a final, like, okay, this is what it is, you know, that is going to propel you and launch you into this really beautiful new trajectory. So this might be a time when you put an end to the waiting around. You put an end to the lingering effects of whatever's going on. This is a real sharp kind of energy. And I think this has a lot to do with the Saturnian scythe, right? You know, kind of going through the field and just cutting it off. So this is going to be real powerful for you guys. Okay, we have a card of anxiety. Oh, yikes. These are some harsh ones. Deceit. Was there something that happened? Oh my gosh, you guys, I hope not. These are tough. I don't want to see you guys in a state of anxiety, not when the Knight of Wands comes out. Because why? If there was a cheating thing, then this person probably is not the person for you, okay? If there was deceit, if there was lying, then will there ever be an opportunity for trust to be reestablished? Will you ever really feel like that? I think the answer is it's going to take a real long time, right? If that's the case, this other person's going to have a lot to prove to you at this point. And do you want to sit around and wait for someone to prove something to you? I don't know that you really do. So you have to maybe even Ace of Swords yourself a little bit and just kind of wake up and be like, okay, we got to figure this out. Let's do it. Let's be brutally honest, and I can handle the brutal honesty. But again, the sun is following right behind. So you have the hope and the joy and the reason to be optimistic no matter what the outcome here. Okay, Sisterhood of the Rose, beauty and devotion, priestess, mystic, and teacher. So for some reason I'm feeling like this is often you guys, like the people who are watching. Whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. The rose is such a beautiful symbol of divinity. It's actually one of the reasons why I use it as my logo. You know, like when Jesus's mother Mary was in the garden, that's when the angel appeared and said, hey, you know, you're going to have a kid. And there's a divine connection with the rose symbol. And I feel that Ace of Swords is a divine message. Some people can choose to ignore it. But you can sit in your priesthood or your priestesshood, whatever. You can sit in that divinity and you can trust the mystic nature of what's going on internally. And you can have compassion. The feminine nature is so full of compassion, of nurturing. And so again, it's like this person, even if there was deceit, and even if you are in a state of anxiety right now, at any moment you could decide, I'm just going to have compassion for this situation, not only for them, but most especially for myself. I'm going to, you know, forgive, because ultimately my own lack of forgiveness is going to be my own cross to bear. And I just don't want that burden ever. So, you know, There's an angelic nature of how you're handling all of this. And it's going to ultimately liberate you in such a beautiful way. I just don't want to see you ever putting yourself in a circumstance where this deceit card comes out, because that super sucks. You know, it does. And for a Knight of Wands, there are way better people who will, especially also a Knight of Coins, you know, a person who is dedicated. And the question is has your dedication to this connection been fruitful and beneficial or not? And you have to have that belief and the optimism that there will be someone who will match and who will reciprocate, you know? And if this person decides to really step up, I think there is still a hurdle here with anything that happened in the past. And you're going to have to ask yourself if you're truly capable of really letting that go. Okay, the beauty and the devotion here is to the higher self, to your own best interest, to the health of the universe. Because that's where true bliss can really be found. Okay, now this is kind of a, maybe these cards don't really match so much, but here we have a 10 of Wands and a 7 of Cups. Clearly you guys are super into each other, right? Clearly the chemistry is there, obviously. I think you want more than anything to be like the special one, you know, to be the one that makes someone want to change, or that makes someone want to be better. But that too can also be your burden as well. And I think there are a lot of things that have to happen in spite of chemistry, in spite of a connection. Because just because there's a connection does not mean there's an investment. And I'm concerned about the level of investment and whether or not it's equal. So this is kind of like an energy of rising above the physical. Not that there's anything wrong with the physical, right? Of course not. That's part of why we're here. But we also don't want to be a slave to that either. And it's the higher nature of the Sisterhood of the Rose essence, the priestess, the mystic, the teaching quality that says, okay, like I can keep going with this physical thing and keep holding off and keep hoping to get everything that I expect, or I can just move forward and find someone who will match me on a spiritual level as well. And then we have the Deer, which is a very maternal energy. A lot of motherly and female energy coming out. So even if you're a man, this may be just really tapping into your receptivity, but also the compassion and the nurturing, the way that a mother has for their child. Men can do that too, obviously. So it's that kind of caring, it's that kind of warmth. And that actually is connecting you here. And you may find a lot of safety in your spirituality right now, because maybe the physicality has been a little harsh with you. Really, it's a hard balance between our spirituality, our emotions, our mental states, and our physical bodies, right? This is kind of what happens when someone is when there's just so much physical stuff happening. The chemicals, the emotions, the heart racing. Anxiety is a very physical experience as well, physical and mental. But this is still that rising above and truly tapping into the higher self. The Deer is a very graceful energy. It's a very honorable energy. It has a lot of dignity, and it carries itself with, a lot of grace and respect. And it's important for you to be that kind of majesty, or to be that kind of majestic, if you will, for the sake of yourself. The Knight of, I keep coming back to this Knight of Wands. I don't quite know why. She's just really drawing me in. It's just someone who is like like they're so fun and so attractive and so there's a lot of laughter with the Knight of Wands. She kind of always has a smile on her face and she's very kind-hearted and all of that. It's like, why would a Knight of Wands like this put up with anxiety and deceit when she could so easily just go and find a new connection in some place like awesome, you know, with someone who really, really understands this sort of spiritual component here. Okay, I just there's just a lot of physicality coming through with these. All right, you guys, I'm gonna leave you there. I wish you nothing but the best. This is tough. I'm super sorry. Hopefully that did provide a little bit of insight, though. I truly wish you guys a great week, and I will see you soon. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.